Hi, an attorney charges between $3,000 to $5,000 for a basic living trust estate plan. In this video, I want to show you what are the other attorney costs down the road that you might not be aware of. And stay till the end because I will give you tips on how to minimize those costs. Okay, first is the obvious cost of creating the living trust estate plan in the first place. And that's just the cost of admission. It's only the beginning. Next is the cost of updating your plan. It is important to review your estate plan because families shrink and grow, laws change, the way you feel about your successor trustee may be different today. A lot of families dread having to go back to the attorney's office for another round of sticker shock. As a result, a lot of plans are actually outdated out there. Sometimes an outdated plan is actually worse than having no plan. So definitely budget some funds to review your plan again with the attorney who created your estate plan. Third is the cost of rush decisions. 6-7 years ago, I was in my estate plan attorney and I was faced with a myriad of questions that I hadn't thought about. Who will raise my children if something happens to me? Who will decide whether to keep me on the mechanical breathing machine or unplug me if I can't speak for myself? What age will my child be ready to receive his inheritance? Or what happens if my surviving spouse remarries and disinherit my children? These are a lot of big questions that if you're facing them for the first time in an attorney's office, you may feel rushed. You may feel intimidated because of the posh wood paneling in the attorney's office, and all the time the attorney's clock is ticking away at hundreds of dollars per hour. You end up making rush decisions that may not serve your family well. Fourth is the cost of probate. Now you may think, hey, I hire an attorney so I won't go to probate. But a lot of attorney-created trust estate plans still end up in probate because the trust was not funded. If your assets remain in your name instead of being retitled to the trust, which is called funding the trust, then you'll end up in probate. My client actually went back to their father's attorney after the father passed away and asked why he didn't ask their father to fund the trust, because now they were facing probate. The attorney walked back to his office and calmly dug out this signed piece of paper that their father had signed saying that yes, he was told by the attorney to fund the trust. A lot of attorneys do that. They hand over the leather binder and say, here, go fund the trust. Some even have them sign a piece of paper. I think part of it is because families feel that, hey, if I pay the attorney so much money to create my estate plan, surely they did everything? Nope. Next is the cost of settling the trust when the trust owner passes away. A lot of families will automatically go back to the attorney to settle the trust. And attorneys are excellent at settling trust, getting copies of the death certificate, closing credit card accounts, applying for new tax IDs for new bank accounts for the trust. This next cost, I think, is the biggest cost of all. It's the cost of paying for a plan without understanding it. Here's an analogy. When I was a young adult, I had no interest in cooking. All I cared about was that food would show up. I didn't care how it was cooked, what spices were used to bring out all the flavors, how the meat got so tender, whether the food was good for me or not. I left it to the expert in the kitchen. Until one day I realized, wait a minute, I'm going to be eating for 60 more years, I hope. So I'd better understand food a bit more, how it's prepared, how it helps my body or ruins my body. Estate planning is similar. It's not a one and done task. It's iterative and it changes throughout your life. Don't fall into the trap of let the attorney do all the thinking. Make sure you understand your plan. Otherwise, you have paid a lot of money for something that you don't understand. And don't fully appreciate how it will protect you or how you can make it better as life changes. Here are some tips to help you minimize the cost. First, start educated. Don't start on a blank page. Get yourself a primer on estate planning, what the key roles are, executors, trustees, guardians. Make sure you understand basic estate planning concepts. The attorney's office is not the time to get yourself an estate planning education from zero. That will be very expensive. The more educated you are, the better questions you'll ask, and the higher your chance of ending with an estate plan that you'll be happier with. Tip number 2, go with attorneys who have a flat fee structure. For 2 reasons. One is that you're not surprised by a bill that you didn't expect, and 2, it takes away the feeling of the clock ticking. It allows you to take your time asking questions to make sure you understand your plan, and you don't tend to make rush decisions. Tip number 3, stay engaged. Don't hand off the thinking to the attorney. Ask a lot of questions to make sure you understand your plan. What happens when the first spouse dies? When can my children access their funds? What if they're not ready? Is there a way to stagger the distribution? So ask a lot of questions because you're paying a lot of money and you want to leave with a plan that you understand. Next, ask your attorney for a 1 or 2 page summary in plain English of the different roles and beneficiary distributions, the trustees, the key information in your trust. Here's an example of what a summary page looks like. The purpose of a summary page like this is that it increases your chance of reviewing it on a more frequent basis than the dread of going through a 20-30 page trust document in legalese. This summary provides you a quick glance if everything is still accurate. Do you still want Lisa to be your children's guardian after you saw how she yelled at her kids last Thanksgiving? If your attorney does not have a summary page like this, make sure that you take the time to create one. Tip number 5, request a trust funding guide. If your trust is not funded, you'll end up in probate. You would have paid money to create a trust for nothing. Tip number 6 is to keep a spreadsheet of all your assets. This helps you in 2 big ways. One is that you can go through the inventory list to make sure that you have retitled them into your trust. Now, please understand that not every asset belongs inside a trust. If you have an inventory list, it's a quick way to ensure that you have retitled those assets into a trust. The second benefit is that when it's time to settle your trust, when you pass away and your heirs are trying to settle your trust, they have a very easy inventory list to go through because every trust settlement involves an assessment of all your assets to make sure that you don't owe the government any estate taxes. So having that inventory sheet ready for your heirs, they'll love you. Not that they don't already love you very much. My last tip is that when the trust grantor dies and it's time to close out and settle the trust, don't automatically hire an attorney before you talk to the trustee, go through the trust, and understand what tasks are administrative and clerical and what could use some legal advice. A lot of attorneys will collaborate with you. They'll make sure to advise you on the legal matters, but at the same time, support you in doing the clerical and administrative tasks on your own. So it really cuts down on the trust settlement cost. Estate plan attorneys definitely play an important role. It's just that they are expensive and intimidating to a lot of families. For many decades, estate planning has been seen as a privilege locked behind high fees and limited access. As a result, a lot of families, in fact, 2/3 of Americans, do not have an estate plan, so they're unprotected. Things are starting to change. If you have been holding back on your estate plan because of cost, I encourage you to attend my webinar where I will show you how to create a powerful estate plan without high attorney costs. You can register at startestateplan.com or click on the link below. Estate planning is not just for wealthy families. Estate planning is not just about how much assets you have. Estate planning is about control and protection, and everyone deserves that.